this easement path for the public utilities, that is for electricity lines, for drainage, for a sewer system, for water supply, for telecommunication, and all of that. How do we consider that? Also, the issue of safety, sustainability is key in how we execute the zoning law, the impact of planning, waste management, which is a big part of that, also the infrastructure. And I think this is something that we also need to look at as to how we handle waste management in terms of zoning. Implementation, enforcement, there's mechanism in the law about how it is executed and how it is enforced. It's more detailed than what we have in the last zoning law. We also have, of course, something that has to do with local authority, the role of local authorities, and that was something we were discussing even before I got here. About how do we deal with the issue of the local governance law that we have currently. There is a piece as to what to do, in the different counties. The mayors are in the different cities, in the different counties. So how do we put all of the pieces together to make sure the law is a law that will help instead of creating maybe conflict amongst the different measuring agencies? You also have something that looked at public health. So strict enforcement of zoning to help prevent development and pose threat to health risks, overcrowding. So how do we build certain structure in certain places for overcrowdedness that will lead to stopping or just anything that will take away life? So even the way we zone, the issue of how we look at public health management should be a part of that. Conflict resolution mechanism is a part of this law is there to ensure clear steps for resolving disputes, especially during zoning transitions or changes. And of course, these are showing the land authority can now talk about some of the issues we have now with even land issue. We also talk about some of the issues we have now with alley, people who are building within right of way and within the alley. You have people accusing each other of not staying where they should stay in terms of the land that they have, enforcement and all of that. These are some of the things that we're going to be looking at. Criteria for zoning decision is all listed here as to how that can be done. We won't go too much into all the details. Non-conforming uses and structures. So it's a part of this, which the non-conforming uses refer to structures that complied with zoning laws when built, but no longer aligned with new regulations. How? And that's some of the issues that we're having now. We're going back now in the Ministry of Public Works to even look at people who build without any construction permit and how we can bring them into being compliant with the system we have now for not adhering or submitting drawing to public work before that. And of course, this is something that we struggle with for now, but we're working to try to resolve that. And I believe that the new zoning law will be able to do so. There's issue of enforcement penalty for non-compliance, which of course should be a part of any law, especially if there's a law as to how people should proceed with constructing, whether it is specifically with the Ministry of Public Works, or whether it is with the city government as to how people should go ahead and construct. And if you have clear rules and guidelines for that, and you don't ascribe to that, then of course you get penalized for that, for making sure the right things are done. So the law actually covers so much, and that you have, you can go ahead and discuss. I'm sure John Maguire will be able to speak to some of the issue. On enforcement, there's a whole layer as to how the law should be enforced. Again, by the authority, and the authority remains as is ascribed to each of the agency, which piece of the law that they should execute. Because the law covers land use, of course, because that covers zoning. It also covers something that has to do with how we take care of the roads, the right of way, for example, who build what and who's given permission. And even it also talks about some of the component from the EPA in terms of environmental concern. The last law had nothing about that, but now there's something about the environmental concern. So I believe the law is a good one, but there has to be a lot of structural coordination amongst the Bureau of Ministries, agencies, and the city government to be sure that we get the best out of what the law has brought forth in terms of of its submission to us. So let me just go forward. Take too much time because my colleagues have to get involved. The real responsibility of the zoning administrator, it speaks to that. Now, who is the zoning administrator? That will be clearly defined as is. I know the land commission has a role to play. I know the city corporation has a role to play in that. And so we have to be clear on what it is. The drafter of the law, and as we work with them, was not very keen on being specific because of some of the cross-cutting issues. And they believe that once, as a government, especially the executive, we should be able to coordinate. That's what I said. With the regulation that's been pulled out and will be shared with my colleagues for their inputs, we will define clearly as to how we proceed with fair execution, because the regulation could be much more detailed and give the kind of framework that's required for executing the law. But overall, the law is a good law. Zoning Board of Appeal, of course, there is also in the law a Board of Appeal, which will allow, of course, citizens to participate where necessary, where it is deemed necessary to do so. If it is either of the agency that's executing a particular piece of the law, how they can, relate to them in terms of their concerns or their issues that they have with the way the law they are being executed. There is an appeal in the law for that to happen. There's also the planning committee that is within the law, and the primary role is to oversee long-term use planning and development policy. So how that works, there was conversation about the city corporation planning, of course, doing that plan for developing the city. Of course, the land commission will also have its overall plan, how do we combine or interlock that to make sure we can successfully execute the law is exactly what I spoke about. So, Honorable Senators, Mr. Chairman, goes in abstention. It is an honor for us to be able to show, once my colleagues present also, we can open a better discussion. But let me say that the government is pleased with the law. We're happy that we have now a more elaborate and broader law that can help us with the zoning and urban planning of our cities, so that these cities that we have can look like the cities they ought to be. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
So we go to land attorney.